All right, welcome everybody. We have a special guest today. We have Amanda. We're going to be talking about absolutely everything. We're going to talk about personal training. We're going to talk about how she's been able to see the world, places where even where my dad was growing up, she doesn't know that yet, all the way to where she's living in California. And her view compared to my view, I am very, very jealous, but it did not come without sacrifice and dedication and a game plan. So we're going to get into this. So entrepreneurs, you're going to love this. Personal trainers, you're going to love this. And we're going to talk about anything under the sun, and we're going to have a great time. So Amanda, thank you very much for joining me today. I'm jealous of your view. I got some sound stuff. You've got gorgeous scenery. You showed me the view. You got pools. You got oceans. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, like it's just, you see where everyone's like, oh, because I mean, we are in a trying time right now. And, you know,
Yeah.
it's for where I'm in Canada, it's been cold. We've had winter. I mean, you're from Canada on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, but it's just, it's harder when you're stuck inside and it's freezing. You have a foot and a half of snow, and then you see other people where they're out and they have oceans, sand, they're tanning and stuff like that. And you're just sitting there going, oh man, life would be so much
Yeah.
easier, kind of thing. So I mean, there's good and bad to every scenario.
It would be a lot more challenging, I think, if I couldn't be able to be outside and see the sun. When it was raining here like a week and a half ago, it was definitely not as great as it is now. But it definitely is I think, a more challenging time for people who live in the East Coast or in the cooler climate. It's kind of funny because I always get kind of annoyed when I see celebrities who are like, stay inside and do what I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, but nobody lives in houses like you, and nobody gets to live in a beautiful environment like you. So it's easy for you to say that. Most of the people are living in small apartments and, have to wear parkas if they want to leave the house. And that's tough.
Oh, it is. Like, yeah, I saw some of these celebrities where they're like, stay inside, and then you look, they have like 100 acres, and they're
Yeah.
able to they're able to do. They have a full gym, they have hired
Yeah.
staff, and then I'm
They're
like,
just on their horses,
man.
like, yeah, it's not fair. Like, the celebrities and all those people who, are fortunate enough to have a lot of extra space and, all that kind of stuff. It's
Man,
like
oh
no
man, I
big
remember
deal.
in Vancouver, we saw this guy's yacht, and I can't remember what it was, but his fuel cost per summer was well over 100,000 US dollars per summer, and he had like 4 or 5 staff, and you just look at it, and I'm like, I can't imagine having a budget of over $100,000 for a summer just for fuel. And yeah,
But
it was
for him, that's pocket change.
yeah, and my buddy's like, for him, it's like if you had to pay $100 to go on a night out,
It
for him
is.
that's like a
Yeah.
100,000. He's like, meh.
Yeah. When you're somebody who's like a multi-millionaire or even billionaire, like they look in hundreds of $1,000 increments instead of dollar increments like everybody else.
It was a men's club here, where it was men's only. So you're sitting around, and guys are talking shop, and they're reading the papers between sets, and all of a sudden, I was just overhearing this conversation. This guy goes, "Oh man, I lost 4 million yesterday," and he didn't seem too upset. And I'm like, 4 million in a day, and he goes, "Yeah, but I woke up this morning and now I'm up 14." I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just like, man. And then you look at your paycheck. Back then I was getting paid like $8 an hour, and this guy in a day can make a $10 million surplus. And I'm like,
Yes.
man, I'm in the wrong business. But I mean, you started out in the personal training world too, didn't you?
I sure did. Yeah. I started when I was 22 or 23. I got my first job as a personal trainer while I was finishing up my degree in exercise science. Yep.
And then when you were a trainer, I love asking this people. So, when I first was a trainer, I told my mom, because I told my mom I was a trainer, and she wanted to be that supportive mom. But in the back of her mind, she's hoping that her son's going to grow up to be something more than just a guy in track pants and t-shirts. I mean, 6 months turned into 20 years. And she's like, I don't know exactly what you do, but you're not in any kind of legal trouble. So, I mean, she still supports it, but doesn't quite understand. So when you were a
Yeah.
trainer, were you like, okay, this is the end all be all career, or was it a stepping stone where you knew you were onto more entrepreneurial and maybe where you are now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, no, I always knew that it was a starting point to something more and bigger. I've always been very adventurous, and I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've always been a risk taker. So for me, like living in an office job kind of environment or like a 9 to 5 was just never kind of on my radar. It wasn't something that really drove me or interested me. And, my mom was very supportive of me owning my own business. And so she was very supportive of the idea of me learning what it was like to run my own personal training business. When I started, I was working at a gym, but they kind of made us manage our own business, and they didn't really help us. So it really was like a kickstart into learning how to like grow your own book and manage your own finances. So it was really good.
So now that you've hung up the dumbbells per se on a profession of training others, and where has it kind of led to you now? Like I know you have this HBI lab, so how did that all come about? And what was kind of the motivation behind it? Because I mean, everywhere we end up in business, there was some sort of driving force, whether it was, someone was sick or someone else was sick, or they're like, hey, you know what? I just kind of I felt into this niche. So what was your driving force, or all of a sudden your blind leap where you're like, okay, I'm done being a trainer. I'm now moving on to more of entrepreneurial things and travel. Like you've traveled a ton. Like how did that all happen?
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Let's rewind to when I was a trainer. So I finished up training. Like I was training for about 10 years before I was like, okay, you know what? I need to more. I need to move on. I need to try something else. I want to learn more about business. So, um, the thing about personal training that I always loved and I still love about it is the ability to change people's lives, to help people, to educate people, and to just give people more. And so I never wanted to lose that, but I knew that if I, went away from personal training, the one-on-one connection that I'd have with people would definitely go away, which it has. But I wanted to digitize what I did. So I wanted to be able to spread my knowledge to more people, especially to more people that couldn't afford a trainer. So what started what in our business was an ebook business. My now fiance, but when I met him, he was a digital marketer. So him and I kind of together created a program so I created it. I made all the programs and wrote all the books and the system, and he figured out ways to help sell it and promote it and partner with people. So that was a big project that took us to actually we still use it to today, but that's the reason why we were able to basically go from being somewhere where we needed to be one-on-one with people to being able to travel all over the world. So about 6 or 7 months into our relationship, he had an opportunity to move to Scottsdale, and I actually had family in Scottsdale. So I was like, all right, let's try it. So we moved to Scottsdale for 6 months, and it was great. That was an opportunity for us to grow the business, to learn some really key things in direct response marketing or internet marketing. And he was partnered up with some people there. He learned a lot about that world and created a lot of great connections for us. So from there, we went back to Toronto, regrouped, figured things out, and then moved to Santa Monica. And then we did the same thing in Santa Monica, continue to grow our network, meet people, figure out where we wanted to be, what we wanted to do. Then because we're at that point we're Canadian, so we could only live in the States for about 6 months at a time. So once that 6 months came up, we had to go back to Toronto, figure out what we wanted to do. Well, you have a team in Southern California. Why don't we try Cabo for a little bit and see how that goes? So we lived in Cabo, working by remote for about 2 months. And it was crazy. It was so much fun. It was crazy. I probably got into like really great shape, but I also drank way too much because we lived at a hotel and people were coming in every weekend to party, whether it was like, holidays or weddings. And we actually got to meet a lot of cool people that we're still friends with today from that, 2-month period, because it's like where all the people from LA come to unwind is Cabo. And then once we realized that we were like, we need a healthier lifestyle, we moved to Barbados, and we moved to Barbados and worked on some things on Barbados for almost 5 months. And then from there, his visa got approved, and then we moved to Southern California. So that's, in a quick nutshell, that's kind of the direction that it took.
Now, because everybody likes to live that island life. Like even, my dad was from Barbados. We still have family there. I mean, my main picture is not to be in Canada it wants that island life. But I mean, you had that island life, but you still chose to come back to the USA. Was that kind of like a demographic choice? Because again, on an island, you're limited on
Yeah.
resources and options, and a lot of the islands rely on cruise ships and the
Yeah.
influx of tourism. Now, was that kind of something where you guys were like, hey, this was fun, but we kind of have that limited ceiling, and it's so dependent on outside money coming in? Let's go back to the USA where we may not be that big fish, but we're in an ocean and we can be your unlimited growth for capital. Is that kind of your idea behind it, or?
Yes and no. I mean, our goal was always to come back to California because at that time, Robert, my fiance, was growing a technology company that they were considering to take public. It was an internet technology company, so they were working really hard to grow that and take it public. They did hit what they wanted to, but instead they sold the business and to a public company. So instead of them going through the whole IPO process, they almost did. He did go through the road show multiple times and raise a ton of capital, and it was a really great learning experience for him. But in the end, they ended up selling it to a public company, which was a really great achievement for them. So yeah, we were always coming back to Southern
And I
California.
mean, I want to let people know too that people are like, oh, she gets to travel, all she did was has to work hard, but you were more than just business minded. Like, you were also getting in shape, you were competing, you went through some things too for health and all those kind of things, so you were still able to, where it's very, very rare to find someone or people that can be able to be successful on stage and successful at business at the same time, because they both require so much time and attention. And I mean, competing is completely narcissistic, where it's all about me, but then business is about an outreach where you're trying to outreach to as many people to give them something to improve their life, to help them get healthier. So it's almost like two different mindsets. So what kind of stuff did you achieve while you were traveling and building your business and going from Canada to the States to Barbados? You competed. So what kind of shows did you do then?
Well, while I was traveling, I wasn't doing any shows, but I was still kind of training like I was. You know, once, I don't know, like once you compete and once you get into that world, it's hard to change your mindset when you've learned a new way of life, you know? And I was really deep into competing from like 2009 until 2014. I competed in the IFBB channel of the Canadian side, so like OPA, which I think it's called something different now, maybe, and then the CBBF.
Yep.
So I was a nationally ranked athlete for bikini, and I was third. And so
Well done.
when you're like really, thank you, yeah. So when you really compete at that level, and there's a lot of people that are super hungry and they'll do anything. Said to myself, like, if the sport takes over who I am and makes me feel like I need validation outside of myself to compete, then it's not a sport for me anymore.
Yep.
And so for me, competing was like it was a tool to achieve success outside of competing, basically. So whether it was to help other people learn how to compete and how to learn how to compete safely, that was my tool, because then I went through it. And it was also a tool to be like, I can work, like I was working 12-hour days training people and then finding time to work out. And I was doing like, it's crazy, like 2 hours a day of cardio plus an hour of training. It was
Right.
crazy, like so crazy. And like I look back at it, I'm like, no wonder I was freaking tired all the time.
Oh yeah.
I was
If
so
you think
tired
about
all
it,
the
that's
time.
21 hours a week. Or I mean, it's 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. That's still 18 hours a week. That is a part-time job and still
It really
working
is.
12 hours.
So basically, like something's got to give, right? And when you're working towards a goal, you always have to prioritize your goal. So like, what do you want more? Do you want to build friendships? Do you want to prioritize social? Do you want to prioritize work, or do you want to prioritize competing? And so for me at that time in my life, I was prioritizing work and competing. And so those are like really what consumed most of my time, if not all of my time. I didn't really have much time to do anything else, and anything else I was sleeping, which is prioritizing for work and competing.
Yep, yep,
you
yep.
know? Because I don't know about you, but I need 8 hours. Otherwise, I'm not a happy person. You don't want to be around me.
Like some people still going to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 in the morning, up at 6 or 7, or I mean 10:30 at night. I'm like, oh, this is it. This is a late one. And the same thing, like it's
Yeah.
just I've not set my alarm since this whole lifestyle change with the virus. But I still wake up at 6 a.m., 6:30, 7:04 is like, okay, I gotta get up. And it's
Yeah.
just I don't want to break that pattern, but I don't understand like these night owls that are able to stay up till 2, 3 in the morning and then wake up in the morning, a couple hours later and function. I don't understand that life.
It's called, they've trained their bodies to do that, and they've trained their mind to think that that's all they need.
Right?
I truly believe that. And it's kind of like, doctors. Doctors are a prime example of that. They go through this boot camp when they're in residency to basically be able to function without any sleep, which I think is ludicrous. Because you're like, my life is being put into the hands of somebody who's sleep deprived, but they are supposed to operate and function. So I think it's possible. It's just not, I don't want to make it possible for me.
Well, because they're doing a lot more studies um, on this, where there's a book that's called "This Is Why We Sleep," and they've actually done a lot of studies where sleep deprivation actually starts at 7 hours. So anybody that sleeps less than 7 hours, and the amount that it affects you like right away, because they have this concept that you can
Mm.
catch up with sleep. Like, oh, I'll catch up with sleep on the weekend, but it's actually scientifically and medically impossible to catch up on lost sleep. And as soon as you're sleep deprived, I can't remember the numbers. I'm gonna have to recheck it, but it's something like 30% of your productivity drops down off of 1 or 2 nights of sleep deprivation. Now,
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
oh yeah, and you lose that, you're gonna get used to it. But then imagine when you start getting more sleep, how effective you can be. And I think it comes down to, this idea where I try to tell my clients and everybody else too, is you have to work smarter, not harder. Where you have
Hmm.
to like pushing as hard as you can. Yeah, it's great, fantastic, but you have to be smart where you give those efforts. And you pretty much have mastered that, because I remember you saying just a minute ago that you had compete, but I do believe that in your future you are planning on to compete.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been
Now,
a hot minute.
yeah,
So I stopped at the end, like 2014, because I was so highly competitive at that time, and I realized that it was really disordered what I was putting my body through, like the amount of calories I was eating compared to how much I was training, and just my overall active lifestyle. It was really hurting me, and I ended up getting Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition. I have seen that a lot of women who compete and really push their bodies end up getting a similar autoimmune condition. So I don't think there's a coincidence there. And then that makes life way harder when it comes to wanting to lose weight, because your thyroid's just like, nope, you screwed me, and I'm burnt out now. And there's a lot of things that happen after that. So my goal within that first year was getting healthy and getting a better relationship with food, a better relationship with socialization, and a better relationship with the gym. Like instead of being like, oh, I ate a cookie, I got to go punish myself and do an hour of
yep,
cardio. Now it's like, whatever, screw it. I ate a cookie, whatever, my ass is going to be bigger tomorrow.
yep,
Damn.
damn, right,
you know? So that took a while to kind of get myself in my headspace back to what I used to be like versus being really strict. And I mean, I was probably 30 pounds lighter than I am now. And sometimes I look back at those and I'm like, oh man, but then I think, but I've also put on a lot more muscle, and I think I look better and I'm healthier now. So it's still I think a daily struggle where you have to remind yourself and tell yourself that you're, you're healthy, you're good, and giving yourself positive self affirmations. I think, that's a really important thing, and I tell it to a lot of people, like your confidence and your motivation and just who you are comes a lot from what you tell yourself in your brain. If you tell yourself in your brain that you're stupid and you're not capable or you're fat, your body's going to believe it, and that's
yep,
going to happen. So I try really, I don't like to use self-limiting talk, because I don't think it's conductive, and I really think that it's hurtful, you know? And so I try not to do that. I mean, I shouldn't even use the word try, because it's a limiting word. I aim to not do that for myself. And when I catch myself, I reframe it and remind myself why that whatever I just told myself isn't true. And when I talk to people, I try to also explain the same to them so that I can help them improve the relationship with themselves. Because I think like you can't achieve anything in life if you don't have a good relationship with yourself. Like you can't have a good marriage or relationship with a boyfriend or relationship with people if you don't love yourself first, like, and truly believe it and feel like you're worthy of it.
Saying you have a problem is fine, but if you don't have a solution for it, then I don't want to hear about it.
Yep.
And, I wouldn't be where I am today if every day I woke up, I'm like, oh, I'm never going to be successful. Oh, I'm never going to get another client. Oh, I'm never going to, it automatically puts you in that failure mindset. And then when you achieve that failure, I'm like, you're very successful because you are exactly who you say you are, and you can't do exactly what you said you can't. So imagine if you
Yep.
flip it and say you can, what you can actually achieve. For someone that's getting into a digital world, an online world where they have a product, whether it's training, clothes, shoes, socks, like what's one tip you could give them saying, you know what, this is one thing you have to pay the most attention to be successful on an
Well,
online world?
can I do three?
Okay,
At
top
least two.
three.
At least
Okay,
two.
top three, top
Okay.
three, top three.
So like the very first one is if it has to be coming from passion. So like if you can imagine doing it all day, every day, forever, then do that. Because literally when you're an entrepreneur and you're working from home, that is it. Like it is that much. Like you're working on it all the time. You're thinking about it all the time. You're working on it at night. You're working on the weekends. Like I don't have like a typical 9 to 5 schedule. Like I'm working all the time, mom. Like, and then the other really important thing is schedule whatever your goal is, whether it's like to compete or to branch out on your own for business. You must have a schedule. And even if it's like teaching yourself how to go to sleep better, have a schedule. So in the morning when you wake up, like, you block your morning times and you say, okay, from this time to this time, this is what I do. From this time to this time, this is what I do. And then that way you kind of stay on the schedule. Like for me, I never miss a workout because I have it scheduled in.
Yep.
I don't accept the excuse I don't have time for a workout. You have time for a workout. You just have to schedule it and make it a priority. In order for me to make sure that I hit my meals, I pre-plan them out. I cook all my meats so they're ready to go, and then I sous chef all my vegetables, and they're in packages, clean, ready to go, so I can just cook them. It takes me 10 minutes to cook a healthy meal. I always make sure that I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, and then I don't start, like, especially in the morning, I don't, sometimes I'm really bad about it, but I don't try to get on social media because it's so bad and it's time suck. And I don't start with emails. I go to my objectives and my goals for the day or for the week, and I prioritize like what do I need to achieve for that day and for that week, and then I block in when I would go in and do my emails, so that emails are an interruption machine.
Yep.
So you could be on emails all day long and answer them back and forth and somehow feel kind of accomplished because you're like emailing people, but you're not actually getting to your objective list. So, you just need to limit all the things that are a disruption. So like turn your phone off, turn your ringers off, like turn all the notifications off that would be like distracting.
Yep.
And focus.
If we only did things we feel like in the day, odds are most of us wouldn't get things done.
You wouldn't too much.
No, because I love what I do and I enjoy what I do and I am expanding, but do I feel like doing it every single day? Not 100%, but it's those
Can get
times where
overwhelming.
it does, where you're like, oh my God, like your check-in days, you're like, I have to deal with my check-ins. And then you have people emailing, and then you have questions, and then you want to go do something else. So it's a lot to handle all at once. But now with your what you want to call it, a health supplement line? Is that the best way to?
Yeah, so we're in the health and beauty category of supplements, but yeah, we do, sports nutrition supplements, and then like skincare and hair care products.
So pretty much healthy on the inside out kind of thing, where
Yeah.
skincare. And what kind of products do you carry?
So we do, so we have one line that's called our Ideal Diet 365, which is more of the weight loss diet line. We have our Ideal Beauty line, which is going to be more for like skincare and stuff like that. And then we have our Follow New Advanced Hair Growth Formula, which is actually one of my favorite product lines, because it not only helps you deal with the problems of hair loss or hair falling out from the inside, but it also does on the outside. And I've been using it because before anything goes out, I like to test it out and see if it works. And
Yep.
I want to be proud of what I have out there. And so so because I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, my hair doesn't like to grow like it used to, and it falls out. And then I was getting some receding in my hairline.
Yep.
So I started taking my product about 5 months ago, I think it's been now. And I mean, I have hair extensions, but I take progress pictures every time I get them taken out and then put back in. And so this time around I got them taken out, and my hairstylist was like, "What have you been doing? Your hair isn't falling out, and it's getting thicker, and it's growing longer, and it feels stronger than it ever has before." And it's because I've been taking my Follow New Advanced Hair Growth Formula. And I was like, "Yes, it's working. This is amazing."
2020. Maybe you had some goals. Everybody, Happy New Year. You got your New Year's resolutions. We have a huge curveball coming in, but what are your 2020 goals? Not for business, but what for yourself? Like, what do you want to do in 2020 for yourself, whether it be, I don't know, new pro card? I don't know, step
That would be
on
awesome.
stage.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe where can people see you in 2020 doing something for yourself?
Yeah, 2020. So, I mean, I was going to compete in April in the LA Pro-Am show, but that got delayed. So, whenever that gets the approval to get back on, I would love to hit that stage. And if that one doesn't, then, I'll find another one. But definitely competing with the WBFF is my next choice, because I think it's a really fun, it's a fun organization, and it's very different from what I've done before. But it allows me to bring back my dancing side, which was my whole high school and former life, basically. So I love dance, and I love being able to perform. So that's why I got back on, or want to get back on the stage. And then the other kind of motivation to getting on stage is I'm going to get married in November. So, I want to look good.
Yeah, there's some stigma that the bride has to look the best out of everyone. They don't want anybody looking better because they want all eyes on them. All right. I like it.
And
I like it.
we're gonna be on the beach and stuff, so I'm like, I want to have it already feels good. Like, a lot of my girlfriends are like, "Damn, how does your ass look like that?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's working."
And I
No,
think
it's
I say
true.
people that are
Yeah.
entrepreneur, that can compete, that are very successful, they have that mindset of success and drive because they're used to the hard work. They're used to putting in that time. And I mean, a true testament where, look at my scene. Yeah, I'm inside
Yeah.
because of sound, but then look at your scene where now you're like, hey, let's do an interview, and we're going to
Can
go
I
to Hawaii
show?
in 6 months. Yeah, go ahead. Let
Perfect.
everybody see.
There you go. If you watch any of my videos that I post on YouTube and Instagram, you will see my backyard, because that's where I train right now.
And speaking of which, how can
Um,
people get a hold of you? Because I mean, some people will watch this like, oh my God, she's motivating. I want to learn more about her. What are your social media handles, your YouTube? Where can people
yeah.
find more about you?
So I'm on Instagram mostly at Amanda Kotel with a K. It's like hotel with a K. And then my brand is HBI Labs, and you can find HBI Labs on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and also YouTube.
So I want to
And
appreciate everything that you shared with us.
get
It
it,
was
get it.
awesome. Yeah, schedule, right? I got to get that schedule going.
That's right. Stay
And
on track.
I got some great takeaways and ideas that I want to do with my business, my expansion, just here talking to you. I hope other people as well. And I want
Oh,
everyone.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I do this too. It's fun. I like doing interviews, but I always have something that I take away from every single interview. And this one, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm going to see if you can tell the difference.
I'm really curious.
Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe
yeah.
it's the scheduling. It's going to be the scheduling for sure.
After, you know what, I'm gonna do a review saying, hey, you know what, I learned this on an interview and this is how it's changed. And yes, again, thank you very much. We're also going to be giving away a prize pack with some of your products, some of the Dominate products, and we're going to ask a skill testing question to the audience if they're asking. And so it's also going to be for them. Make sure you're listening and learning. and giving away a prize pack. Because again, it's about giving out to other people in the time of need and sharing out the wealth and helping people feel better, look better, be better.
I love it. I'm excited. I can't wait for the winner to be revealed and get all the fun goodies.
Yes, right. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I hope you get to enjoy that view. I get to go, I'm close to a river. So it's not the ocean or a pool, but I'll take what I
Hey,
can
well,
get.
it's water.
Yeah,
It's
water is
flowing
water.
water, and water is very calming and healing. So at least you have that.